Good evening. Good afternoon. I guess it would depend on where you are. Here in sunny California, it is 4:37 in the afternoon. I am recovering from a bad case of the coof. So if I cough or snort or otherwise act gross during the stream, I apologize. Oh, wow. Let me hurry up and get my pants off. Hello and hello. Hi, Logan Sandman, and hello. I yell a lot. So I was watching a stone vet. Excuse me, a stone vet stream as I am wont to do, and this is pure vodka, by the way. And he kind of glossed over this, and it. Um, I'm sorry to hear that, Chris. I hope you feel better. Um, and it just drives me nuts. This is Wrangler isn't a halfwit. He No, he is a halfwit. He's not a midwit. A midwit is someone who's like that average kind of IQ, that 100 to 105 range, smart enough that half the world is stupider than he is. Uh, Fraudent Wrangler is probably more in the 90 to 95 IQ range. Functional in society, uh, but barely. And a lot of people. It's gorgeous, by the way. The weather, Adam. A lot of them turn to the military. No offense to the military. A lot of 90 to 95 IQ people go into the military because it's a job that they could get. They'll be bosun's mates or whatever, cleaning latrines, sweeping, doing all that fun stuff. They typically don't make it. Believe it or not, your average grunt is not going to be a 90 to 95 IQ. You need to have someone out there who's at least moderately intelligent. You'll have your 100 to 105 IQ guys out there as the grunts. My understanding, having looked into this briefly, thinking that I was going to not enlist. What is it when you join as a officer? Whatever. But the 90 to 95 guys, they do stuff on the back end, you know, dumb shit like with a broom or a shovel. Nothing that requires intelligence, and that's what he is. But he does have commission. Thank you, someone, for being smarter than I am right now. Part of why I'm doing this is to force myself into thinking and being coherent. Yes, NCO. Congratulations on being 106. And if I slosh around in my candy, I apologize. It's not a candy. It's a cough drop. These are delicious, the lemon mint sugar-free ones, except whatever they use is fake sugar. It gives me serious gas. I know you all wanted to hear about that, but boy, I could be my own hot tub if I sit down in a bathtub full of water after eating enough of these. I don't know where I was going. I don't know. He's a small guy, and unfortunately, small guys in prison, especially with no teeth, probably has a hard time of it. But anyway, he found, much like Chili, although I think Chili's smarter than this guy is, he found something and he wants to use it. He wants to use it as a midwintery kind of thing. So let's listen to what he has to say.
Did he violate any of your constitutional rights due to your
James
skin
Baker.
color?
Hey,
your
Captain,
age?
got a rent.
He's playing his own video and he's talking over it, which is about the most annoying fucking thing ever. And it's a tomato juice, or is it tomato juice? You tell me. Um, it gets really bad when you're watching Stone Vet, when you're watching Josh watch Wrangler, watch Wrangler, and you're having Josh comment over Wrangler, commenting over Wrangler. It uh, it's bad. I don't know why people are. I don't know why people are giving him money. I really don't. Um, but anyway, he's glommed onto this civil rights thing, and for those of you who aren't aware, the the technical definition, and we're not gonna stick with this, but where he's going with this is well, actually, the super precise definition for civil rights is a right you enforce against another person or entity. It's something where they discriminate against you, and for whatever reason, race, creed, color, etc. Now the problem is that is a super technical definition, and it's not something that the law cares about. And we'll go ahead and see. Texas Wrangler. Who's Texas Wrangler? I don't know Texas Wrangler. And I would still like to see I would still like to see a working definition for frauditor. Nice. I'm not wearing my hat. I'm sorry. 15K raised. Good for real vets. A real charity for real vets. And by the way, for Mission 22, it's a 501c3. So it's tax deductible. So any money that you actually give to Mission 22, you can write off on your tax returns. If you give it to a scammer like Fraud at Wrangler, then you can't write shit off. Peanut butter, honey candies in a black and orange box. That sounds good, actually. I don't know why that popped into my head, but I'm picturing him like Chuck Norris, Walker, Texas Ranger. This little pillbilly, yeah, that guy is no fucking Chuck Norris, and he's not a ranger. He wishes he was a ranger. He pretends that he was a ranger, or he used to before he got straight up called out, verified. I don't know why anybody believes any of the bullshit. If you can't verify someone, like you could verify me. My California State Bar number is 3200086. You could verify me. You know who I am. Like, if you can't verify someone, like I don't see why anybody gives anybody money on this platform. Clodpole? I don't know what that is, but it sounds good. Nevea, you never gave me the link to your fishy channel. And thank you. Oh, you're just making fun of his name. Anyway, so civil rights are something that you can enforce against other people. Civil liberties are something that the government can't do, well, in theory, can't take from you. They're enforceable against the government. But you should be sorry. You found my OnlyFans page? If someone could find me Kimmy's OnlyFans page, you better write yourself a note. But if someone can find me Kimmy's OnlyFans page, I would slap some hot butter in that pancake batter. Let me tell you. So civil liberties are rights that you enforce against the government. Civil rights are rights you enforce against other people. But this case is Castro versus Wagner. And you can see it's a civil rights case, nature of suit, civil rights case. This is from Court Listener, but that's what the case cover sheet would list it as. Cause of action is the 1983, the 42 USC 1983 the Civil Rights Act, right? Civil rights. So, and then you have the Civil Rights Act of 1866. And the Civil Rights Act of 1866 gave cause of action against people. Didn't it give a cause of action? I think it gave a cause of action. I think, yeah, it gave a cause of action, if I remember correctly. And then there was the Enforcement Act of 1870. There was the Second Enforcement Act of 1871. Civil Rights Act of 1871. We're skipping one, but then there was the Civil Rights Act of 1875. You get the idea. There's all these civil rights acts, right? But anyway, if you actually look at the text, this is an 1871 Civil Rights Act. This is section 1 of it. This is chapter 22 of 187 or 1871. It's like 17 stat something or the other. 17 stat 22. Something like that. So you can see that it reads, any person who, under color of any law, statute, ordinance, regulation, custom, or usage of any state shall be subject or cause to be subject, shall subject or cause to be subjected any person within the jurisdiction of the United States to the deprivation of any rights, privileges, or immunities secured by the Constitution of the United States shall any such law, whatever, notwithstanding, be liable, injured in a suit, lawsuit, at equity, or other proper proceeding for redress. Basically, you can sue them. So, I don't recommend that. You might get coded on your ass calling you an alcoholic. Not that I give a shit about Coded's definition of alcoholic. And I think it's funny that people call me an alcoholic. I've never taken exception to Coded calling me an alcoholic. I took exception to his definition. And because I took exception to his definition, then he started saying that I was pissing in. He started saying weird shit about me pissing in my house. And it was just weird. And like he fixated me on me for like 3 streams. And so, I mean, him calling me an alcoholic, I mean, that was a Kafka trap, but that didn't bother me. I don't know why people think I give a fuck if they call me an alcoholic, but it's been the du jour. And if I accepted Coded's definition of alcoholic, then literally everyone would be an alcoholic. Because I think by his definition, if you've ever been drunk twice in a year, you're an alcoholic, which is like 99% of adults in the U.S. And of course, if you are an alcoholic, you're either an alcoholic or you're a recovering alcoholic. You're never recovered. So if you've ever been drunk twice in 1 year, you're an alcoholic for the rest of your life. So join the fucking club and have a drink with me. But anyway, this is a iced tea. It's an iced tea cup. It was sold as an iced tea cup. Anyway, it has a narrow top and a big bulbous bottom. And it's deceiving because I'm an eyeball pourer. I pour by 1 or 2 fingers. And boy, 2 fingers in this bad boy, whew, you're done. You're done. You're, as far as Coded's concerned, you're a fucking alcoholic for the rest of your life. Oh, you little slut. I love you. What's temperature? It's probably, well, it's I'm like 3 hours ahead of you, right? Something like that. It got up to a high of 81 degrees today, I think. Right now, it's probably a comfortable 77. Silly drama, yeah. And I love a nice old fashioned. I like a nice old fashioned where it had that really giant ice cube. Ugh. Fat bottom girls do make the rock and world go round. I like my women I like my chicken with a little bit of fat on the end. Not too fat, not too skinny, just enough to. Never mind. Thank you. Intervene away. Just bring the drinks, okay? It's a BYOB intervention. So you can see that what it is, even though it was a cause of action that arises. You know, I'll make this bigger so you can have a chance at reading it. It's a cause of action that arises out of a civil rights amendment. So it's a cause of action that arises out of a civil rights amendment. So the shorthand for it is to say that it is a civil rights cause of action. Oh, you can't even see that. Move me. Move me. Shoot. Move me. There we go. So you can see civil rights. Get out of here, Jay. Oh, I wanted this. 34th Street Gang! Represent. I love you, McLonger Balls. If only you were McLonger Dick to go along with your McLonger Balls. Oh, God, you're making it bigger again. I know. Will there be a test? Yes, on whether it's tomatoes or tomatoes. It's my live? No, it's your intervention. It's shush. You just shush. All right. So for someone to say, are you violating my civil rights? It's a shorthand way of saying, are you giving me a cause of action under 42 USC 1983? This is, of course, how it reads now in today's day and age. So it's a deprivation of any rights, privilege, or immunities secured by the Constitution and the laws of the United States. So there's multiple ways to do it. Yeah, Madam, I'm pretty sure it's pronounced that way too. But we need the tomato person to enlighten us on whether it is still that pronunciation. So, just because I really don't fucking care. This is Alcoholics Anonymous. There's no formal AA definition of alcoholism. I don't know why anyone would care. DSM 5. And we want to search that for. Oh. Mm-hmm. 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 National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism. So the DSM-5 defines alcohol use disorders. If you've had 2 or more of these symptoms, then you have at least a mild. And have you had times in the past year where you ended up drinking more or longer than you intended? More than once, wanted to cut down or stop drinking, or tried but couldn't? Spent a lot of time drinking. So the stupid thing is, well, first, Coded's a fucking liar. I mean, we've already caught him in several lies, including the lie with his mom, where his mom came in and caught him jerking off. Mom, get out, get out. Do I not have that anymore? Oh my God, if I deleted that. That was the best. That was the best. Why did I delete that? Poop. Can't believe I deleted that. Oh, well, I would have played it for you, but I must have deleted it. Anyway, so coded's definition, like it doesn't take anything into account. Like his second part of his definition was like if you have more than one drink, and a drink is 8 ounces of beer, right? 8 ounces of beer. You'll notice how he doesn't quantify that at all. Like what percent, what strength beer? Because beer could come anywhere from, I don't know, like probably 2%, all the way up to like IPAs are like 9, and they probably go higher than that. So I mean, like what strength beer are we talking about? I mean, if you want to get like technical, 8 ounces of fucking what, right? And it also doesn't take into account body size. Like I'm 220 pounds of beef, right? I know. I don't know why I would have deleted it. It's driving me nuts. Oh, I found it. Oh, hold on, kids. We're going to video file. I found it.
Mr. Caruso is, well, he's not like the kids over at the Welsh News Network. He's not a...
I told you. No. I told you I wanted to vacuum and dust this room. No. Get out.
Hang on 1 second.
I told you. No. I told you I wanted to vacuum and dust this room. No. Get out. I told you. No. I told you I wanted to vacuum and dust this room. No. Get out.
Hang on 1 second.
Oh, Jesus. So, like, let's just pretend, before I go back to the alcohol thing, let's just pretend that he was acting on this one like he pretends. Let's pretend that this was a troll to try to catch people, right? Let's just pretend that the level of acting, the quality of acting is Oscar worthy. I mean, you could hear the panic is get out, trying to be quiet and not at the same time. And you could hear him just absolute frustration that his room wasn't clean. And then like when you compare it to his subsequent one, his pretend one, where like it's obvious. I mean, it's like a bad porno kind of act. Oh, stepmom, I see you're caught under my bed trying to vacuum. Whatever will I do, stepmom? It's that kind of level of bad acting. It's fucking terror bad. But anyway, like his definitions make no sense. Like it doesn't take into account the weight of the person who's consuming the alcohol, because obviously a 4% beer for a 105-pound soaking wet person, it's going to have a lot bigger effect on them than a 12-ounce 4% beer for me. It's more than double their body size, you know. So I mean, it's just fucking stupid. Like he says it's the definition, but he won't fucking cite where the definition is because he's a lying sack of shit. And he did all of this to get out of being called out on doxing a motherfucker's address or his employer's address and name, and threatening to contact that employer's sponsors, the radio station sponsors, which is still a totally douchebag thing to do. It's still a terrible thing to do. He has yet to fucking apologize that I'm aware of. I haven't watched his shit for a while because obviously he's toxic. And I'm sure he's going to make like 3 streams on me because I'm bringing this up. But whatever, you know, I'm not sub to him anymore, so I won't see it, and I don't really care. But he's a fucking terrible person. I mean, if he's willing to do that, if he's willing to dox someone's employer and to threaten their job over someone's throwaway language about what he would have done in a hypothetical situation that can never occur. I mean, I mean, it's just he's just a terrible fucking person. He's terrible, and everything he does, like there's nothing of substance behind anything he does. Josh was talking about him. He's calling out a Surrender Monkey, and saying that Surrender Monkey was just like Coded, and I always called Coded a moral fag. You know, the kind of guy who'd be like, "Oh, my morality is superior to yours, and you have to do what my morality says," and first of all, I was able to stop coughing, so thank you very much. And I just think it's fucking hilarious that that douchey motherfucker was living with his mom, and his mom was treating him like a 5-year-old, a recalcitrant 5-year-old who hadn't cleaned his or who needed to get off the computer and go out and play. So anyway, I've always considered Coded to be a moral fag. Trying to throw his morality up as being somehow superior, not for any definitive qualities or anything like that, because obviously Coded's morality is shifting like the wind. He doesn't have any actual specific position. Like if Dan like Coded is hiding his identity because he doesn't want his employer doxxed, right? But he feels he's got the balls to dox someone else's employer. It's that kind of fucking thing. You know, it's one code for me and one code for thee. I'm going to do what protects me and all this other stuff, but I'm going to attack you on that level that I would not want to be attacked on. I feel bad. He's not an employee, he's 1099. But I have an associate because I'm fucking balling. And I gave him the coof because I'm a terrible person. Because I went in one day when I probably shouldn't have, but I only went in one day, and it was fucking bad. And now he's at home with the coof. And I'm not saying like the coof is anything spectacular or magical or anything like that, but it was like a bad cold. This is my first time having it, so if you haven't had it or whatever. It was like a bad cold combined with a bad flu for me. And I felt like shit for 3 days, and I slept for 3 days. And now I just have like a leftover cough. I need to stop presenting that. Why is that on my fucking screen? They say Gen X is sensitive, but that boomer has no humor, and all rats need to be put in a rat trap in Minecraft. I mean, you said it, not me. So what else do you guys want to talk about? How about this? I had a lot of people comment on my videos trying to differentiate between Martin Luther King Jr. and his and the Civil Rights March and everything like that. And well, I'm way too pretty for that. And a lot of their rationale is pretty bad. Like what some of the auditors may have committed crimes like drug crimes or other crimes prior to becoming auditors, and that makes it bad. Well, how do you know what the people marching in the Civil Rights Act, in the Civil Rights era, the 1960s, the early 60s? How do you know? I mean, were all those people free of convictions? There were a lot of drug crimes back then. There were a lot of, I'm sure that there were a lot of people who were involved in that movement who had priors for drugs or crimes or, that. I mean, because like one of the things that they were marching against was that was their impression, at least. I'm not here to judge either way because that's not my particular avenue. I haven't looked at anything in specific, so I couldn't tell you. But there was an impression back then, as now, that Black people were arrested, charged, and convicted of crimes they didn't commit. And so you were going to get people who, I mean, if true, even if one true, you were going to get people involved in that civil rights era for equal rights. You're going to get people involved in that who had convictions, probably for terrible things. You know, they like to again, I have no statistics, so this is just pure pulled out of my ass, but I have heard stories about black men being accused of raping white women. Like there'd be a consensual sexual act. Parents of the white woman would find out. And then because it was so taboo, the white woman would say, well, he raped me. And then all of a sudden, you know, Jamar is a rapist or whatever. So you're going to get people with terrible criminal records in the civil rights movement. So what's the distinction between a civil rights activist and a First Amendment rights activist? You also have people were saying you'd have gone with Tyrone. Well, you know, I'm on the spot here, bro. Well, I have audited, sir, and or madam, and I am not a criminal. Jeff Gray has never been convicted of anything. He's not a criminal. Batosai, no criminal record. Man in Black, no criminal record. Oh, there's some other good ones. So no, your analogy is wrong. Is wrong, and to suggest that them going out and testing laws somehow makes them wrong. Oh, you know, testing laws, that's bad. You can't do that. That's, you know, only a dick goes out and tests laws. What civil rights protesters were doing is they're doing things like sitting in the front of a bus. They were actively breaking the law. They were going out to test the constitutionality of the law. They would go and they would do sit-ins at like Woolworths and places like that, testing the validity of the law. They would go out and they'd say they were going to march, and they do it without that. Blue is I was doing some PVC work, and that's how good I am with PVC glue. I get it everywhere because I'm a man and I don't wear gloves. They'd go out and they'd march without getting a permit because they were literally testing the parade permitting statutes. Geez, I got that blue stuff everywhere. Well, that's kind of a dick thing to say. Why is that a parody? I stood in front of a Sacramento Sheriff's Department audits.
Real auditor now. I've got my list of auditing questions to ask you guys to make sure that we're fully prepared for the.
I was not making fun of the auditors. I was showing them how they could do it without getting arrested, without being a dick. I don't know why people always think I'm against auditors. I've never been against auditors. I mean, I don't like it when people are dicks. All the fat, UPK. I'm going to get all the fat. I mean, you gotta, you know, the mark of a successful man is how much weight he could put on. Hell yeah. I don't particularly like people being dicks for the sake of being dicks, but I'm not against. I like people practicing the First Amendment. I like freedom of speech.
This is the Sacramento. That is my list of questions.
That was bad connection. You think right by the Sacramento sheriff. Where was this? This was on Where was that? No, I wasn't taking shots at them. I was not taking shots at them.
Questions to ask. I don't think I'll get much action.
So one of the things that always bothered me was, I remember Earl Warden. He but back in the day, he came to my channel in a nom de plume, a pseudonym, and it was like, I'll make you famous. I can make you famous. And I talked to him a little bit under that nom de plume. I knew it was him because, I mean, the guy's fucking not that smart. But one of the things that he said, was that, you've got to make some noise. You got to get their attention. You can't just stand out there. You've got to do something to get their attention. And I'm like, wait a minute. Like, that's not cool, right? Why I got to go out and be a dick? Why you got to go out? Like, it's not you filming that's now the problem. It's you being a dick that's the problem. It's you causing a commotion, causing a stir, getting people upset with you. And if the cops go out there to get involved, just the nature, the authoritarian nature of a cop, he's the authorita. He's got to go out there and make it right. I've got upset people. I don't know what you've done wrong, but you must have done something wrong. You're the problem. You're the nail. All I know is the hammer. I'm gonna do stuff. Yeah. Jeff Gray's a great auditor. Subscripciones. Hold on. I want to go to honor or oath. I saw one recently where he was put in a box. It was a recent one. Videos. This one right here. He is standing on a public sidewalk across the street from a city hall. Right? He's holding a sign that says something along the lines of like pray for the homeless or something like that. And that's like quintessential speech. Like, that is like the definition. Like, if you think of, like, what do you think? You think of a guy with a picket sign walking around on a public sidewalk, the end of the world is not, or whatever. That's like classic what you think of as God bless the homeless vets. Thank you. It's classic free speech. He's on a public sidewalk. He's not even in front of a public building. And the cops come and they hassle him and they arrest him. They put him in the back of a cruiser for like a half hour. And then they turn him loose. And it's fucking terrible. Like, can we agree that shouldn't be a thing? Like, what less offensive thing can you say than God bless the homeless vets? What less offensive thing can you say? And he doesn't raise his voice. I mean, you could listen to him.
Yes, you guys are making a fuss out of nothing.
We asked you nicely.
Like I said, I'm just peacefully and politely engaged in constitution protected activity, and beyond that, I'd rather not answer any questions or anything like that. I don't want to identify myself or give me information like that.
So I mean, that's a tone of voice that Jeff has. Like, occasionally he's raised his voice at the cops, but like, he doesn't.
First of all, are you a homeless vet?
I'm not answering questions like that.
No, I'm a vet. That's
Okay.
why I'm like, if you need some help, I
appreciate that.
put you in line to get some help.
Yeah, I just rather not answer any questions like that.
I mean, he's a cool dude. Jeff Gray is a cool dude, and he's doing classic free speech stuff. And he's going there, just like all the other First Amendment auditors. For those of you who say the problem arises when Jeff is compared to what most of these other clowns do, what Jeff is doing is Jeff is going out and he's testing the laws. He's pushing the laws. He knows that he gets reactions in some of these towns, in some of these small towns. That's why he goes there. That's why he does it. And he monetizes it. He puts it up on his channel. It's a monetized channel. You could probably give him I know he has like a store. He used to have a store. Did they? Huh. I swear to God, he used to have merchandise for sale. Am I going crazy? No problem with Jeff Gray. He's an exception, and you know it. Well, he's good at it. He's not an exception. He's one of the really good ones. Bato side, Philip Turner. Excellent audits. Man in Black. Excellent audits. There have been others. First Amendment tests. Excellent audits. Oh, so you would fucking know? You wouldn't know shit. I don't consider what Jeff does to be the same as what most do, but maybe that's just me. Well, he testing the limits of free speech. The First Amendment is there to protect speech that people don't like. Speech that people don't like. So naturally, if you're going to press First Amendment issues, you're going to use speech that people don't like. So a lot of times what they do is they go out there and they say things that are caustic. But police have to be able to handle a certain amount of criticism. They have to. Even though it's dicta, it's pretty strong dicta in Houston versus Hill. No, Hill, yeah, Houston versus City of Houston versus Hill, or Hill versus City of Houston. Sorry, didn't want you to see me cough. I'm a fake life attorney. I pretend to be the best one. Are you really a coach there? I get Jeff Gray. By the way, if anybody wants to come up here and argue this with me, I am happy to have you come up here and argue. Paste. I need an assistant. I probably do. I got dictated for you. Oh, please do. So yeah, if you want to argue this with me, you're more than welcome to. But again, the distinction between the civil rights protests of yore and the civil liberties or civil rights protesters of today are they're not as big as people think. Didn't ask you, Nathaniel, get busted for me and disgusting, like real life disgusting, like. I don't know what that means. Like, I don't know who you're responding to. Merb has to defend his team. I'm not on team. Millions of blacks wanted to sit at the Woolworths counter and eat. No one wants to stand in a post office to record staff and patrons for an hour. Well, you gotta remember. I don't know that millions of blacks actually wanted to sit at Woolworths counter and eat, but that law was in effect in a lot of places, or laws like that were in effect in a lot of places, and well, actually policies like that, which were enforceable by laws, and. Like whether or not you specifically wanted to do it. I mean, maybe not right now, but maybe like the next time you're traveling through a state. So a lot of blacks lived in the North. A lot of blacks moved to the North after the Civil War. They settled in the North where there weren't these Jim Crow laws, these that they were protesting against in the South. And there were a lot of issues that arose when the blacks from up north would try to go south and like visit family or whatever, because they get down there and like gas, you'd have to know like which gas stations would serve at the time it was colored people, right? So you'd have to know which ones did it and which ones didn't. You'd have to know which restaurants would serve black people and which ones wouldn't. And so there were a lot of things you had to know, and that's part of the reason why Congress stepped in and regulated it in the 1964 Civil Rights Act. They went into the Commerce Clause because it was affecting interstate commerce. But how many people do want to be able to record in a post office? Apparently more than a handful do, because you have people doing it on YouTube and people watching it. So there are people interested in it. And, just because you don't want to do it, it's that, what if something pops off and I want to record my encounter with a post office employee? What if, Post Office Bob is having a bad day and he starts yelling and screaming at me, and I want to pull out my camera, my phone, and start recording it? It's for those kind of situations. Maybe you don't want to do it on a day-to-day basis, but having the having the freedom to do it, having the ability to do it is, I think, what's important. And it's dumbasses that go and try to record in the post office that are fighting for that right now. I don't think technically you can record in a post office. I think the what is that, 39 CFR blah 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 is pretty clear about what you can and can't do in a post office, and I think it passes the reasonableness standard, rational basis review. So I think the prohibition against recording in the post office is, first of all, clear. The language on poster 7 is different than the language in the actual CFR, slightly, but I think it's pretty clear, especially when you read it as one would read a statute. You'd read the statute. If you get a list of things, you have to read that list of things to be kind of like, okay, this is a pattern, and all these things have to be kind of the same. You can't have like weird outliers, right? And what was that one case? There was a case recently where a guy was filming in a DMV with a very similar statute was in play. Not a DMV, Social Security Administration. Very similar statute was in play from the GSA, and the court did, I think, an excellent job analyzing the statute and reading everything in the statute as a court should read it. So yeah, I don't think technically the law prohibiting recording in a post office is unconstitutional, but that's why they're doing it is, that's fine for them to test it. I think that a court would uphold the constitutionality of it, is what I'm saying. I used to think it was a lot more black and white when I started watching auditors for this year, but the lines keep getting blurred. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why auditors don't always like the anti-auditor side. They celebrate the arrests, right? Woo, arrest. But then like it gets eerily quiet when it comes time for conviction. I mean, Frog follows up with convictions, but convictions aren't always, and they aren't certain by any stretch of the imagination. Sometimes the cases drop just because the prosecutor has better things to do, bigger fish to fry. They don't care. But sometimes it's dropped because it's a bad case. So yeah, I mean, and just because an auditor doesn't push a case all the way to trial, just because the auditor accepts the settlement, I mean, maybe the auditor was just looking for money out of the deal and feels justified enough taking the money and run. But they might consider that a win. It's certainly not a loss. So the anti-auditor channels, they celebrate the apparent losses, but they very rarely cover the victories of the auditors or the apparent victories of the auditors. People with an IQ higher than single digits, for the love of fuck, please. I don't have an IQ higher than single digits. You're stuck with what you got. You broke Merb. I'm sorry. Police should be able to let insults go in one ear and out the other. Absolutely. They absolutely should. 100%. If you give people responsibility, then they should, or if you give them power, you should also give them responsibility. And we should hold them accountable. And we should hold them accountable to a higher level than we would hold your average Joe Blow. But again, that is dicta. So don't read too much into it. But I think a common consensus is that police should be able to withstand criticism, even if it's kind of vile. They should be able to withstand criticism. And if you're pro cop guy, and the police can do no wrong, and we should venerate the police and this and that, they're heroes, thin blue line. Well, I hate to break this to you, but they're bad cops. No, not all cops are bad cops, but they're bad cops. And what are you going to do about the bad cops? If YouTube creators can let insults go in one ear and out the other, so should a cop. Absolutely. The issue is you're obviously taking it from a legal perspective, while most are taking it from a right or wrong. Well, what's right or wrong? What's right or wrong? Whose morality are we going to use here? I mean, are we going to be coded and we're just going to stamp our foot down and say my version of right and wrong is right or wrong? Is that what we're going to do? I mean, what's right and wrong? There's a lot of things we can legally do, but don't simply because who says it's wrong? That doesn't mean anything. Saying it's wrong doesn't fucking mean anything. Do I feel every public employee must take the insults too? No. Police are different than most public employees. Police are different than most public employees. They have a lot of discretion, and they have a lot of authority. They have a lot of power. They're different. But what we've learned from Adderley and what we've learned from Adderley, Spock, Lever's the International Society for Christian Consciousness, all sorts of other cases, USV Grace, Kokinda, is that agencies, states, and agencies, things like that, can reserve the use of the property that it owns, for the intended purpose of that property. And they can restrict actions like filming. So I feel you are ingenuous, maybe disingenuous. I didn't say they are only doing audits to test laws. No, no, I didn't say that. So I think you're being disingenuous. I think there can be a multitude of reasons why people do things. Like, I'm doing this to teach, but I'm also doing this because I'm bored and I want to interact with people while I'm highly contagious and I can't go out and hang out with friends. So I have multiple reasons for doing this, but to say that any one of those reasons is not a reason why I'm doing it would also be wrong. So number one, I didn't say they're only doing audits to test laws. So you're a lying shitbag for saying that. They are doing it to test the laws. They're doing it to get reactions, and they're doing it to make money. All three, generally speaking. I mean, some might not be trying to test laws, but they're inadvertently testing laws by doing it. So there you go. Yes, he interfered. I think I came up with like several charges they could have gone with that they didn't go with. If they didn't make money, they wouldn't be doing it. Well, except for the ones that aren't monetized, right? You mean except for them, right? They don't do it yet. We did that. New comments. All right. Where are we? I'm gonna find. All right. A reasonable, well, like, what the fuck is that? Like, what the fuck is that, dude? Apparently, you and I have different moralities. I would say that you're a reasonable person. I hope you'd be charitable and say I'm a reasonable person. So right off the bat, you're fucking. That's a non-starter. Okay, Dr. Cock McLongerballs, PhD. Your morality wins. Yeah, I mean, they reflect our morality in a way, but it's a very kind of limited, basic sense of morality. Like, don't kill other people. We need to have people not killing other people to have a functioning society. You know, don't take other people's shit. You kind of need that to have a functioning society. Indeed. I'm not a pro cop guy. I don't trust cops. I mean, cops are people. And like my neighbor he was a sheriff. He's doing something else now. He's like an investigator for the DA, which I mean, even better, right? And I like him. And I can trust him to do a lot of things, but I'm not going to tell him if I'm doing anything even remotely illegal, you know. But like if someone's breaking into my house, I've got him on speed dial, brother. Hell yeah. He'll come shooting. I can trust him for that. It was funny. I told his son right in front of him, I'm like, never trust the police. Never trust the police. Don't talk to the police. They'll lie to you to your face. And his dad sat there. He was like, he couldn't argue it. He couldn't fucking argue it. He knew. Because like everybody knew this guy's son as this guy's son in that sheriff's department, right? So if a sheriff rolled out, they'd know that that's his kid and he'd get treated as that guy's kid. But he knew that any other cop on the face of the earth was going to look at that kid twice. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah. But not stalking and disrupting just to disrupt. Stalking. That's it. Like, what do you mean? Define that. If there's a law against stalking, which most states have stalking laws, usually that's a crime. So, and disrupting, that's the very thing that Houston versus Hill tried to Houston v. Hill. Why'd you give me fucking TV? I swear to God. Shit. Oh, we're gonna go present. Why? Oh, there we go. So I don't know if you could see it. Unlawful to, in any manner, oppose, molest, abuse, or interrupt any police officer. That's disrupting, interrupting. That's a very fucking thing that the Supreme Court said, no, you're fucking wrong. So fuck you. You lose. Thanks for playing. You suck. King statement. One has not only a legal, but a moral responsibility to obey just laws. Conversely, one has a moral responsibility to disobey unjust laws, right? But who says what's just and unjust? Right? I'm sure the slave masters thought that the laws allowing slavery were just. And I'm sure the slaves thought they were unjust. I'm sure the slave masters thought the laws prohibiting slavery were unjust. And the freed slaves thought they were just. I get asked on the first date without a shower and after the bar. Most would say that's wrong. I would say that's beautiful. Brings a tear to my eye. Auditors on YouTube sure seem to think that every public employee is a servant to treat like shit. Some auditors do. You're right. But the nature of free speech, the nature of the First Amendment is to protect speech that we don't like. If we like the speech, it would need to be protected. And again, for like clerks and secretaries and people working inside the buildings, there likely are statutes protecting them from filming and harassment, things like that. Well, I sure wish I could go up to someone on the street and call them names. That would be legal, but wrong. Well, first of all, your hypothetical is incomplete, because what if that person had just had inappropriate sexual relationships with your daughter? Would it be wrong to call them names? You're being silly. Rights are rights, right? That's kind of tautological, but sure. Good morning. Yes, you are disingenuous. I consider it wasting working people's time. I consider wasting working people's time wrong. I'm talking about the low-level admin employees most raw editors harass. Most. Well, say I think it's wrong that they harass working people, and realize that that's your opinion. And like all opinions, no one wants to hear yours, right? It's just your fucking opinion, dude. Like, you're entitled to it. You're allowed to have it, but it's just an opinion. And number one, I don't think most auditors harass low-level admin employees. And I'm sure a lot do. Maybe the ones you watch do, but most, I don't know. Show me your poll. And wasting their time. Most government workers get paid on a salary or on an hourly basis. They're not paid by the piece. They're not paid by the work product. So they're getting paid the same to sit there and listen to an auditor bitch at them as not. And it may be that low-level admin person is the right person to hear the complaint. King further states, any law that uplifts human personality is just. Any law that degrades human personality is unjust. Yeah, that's nonsense. That's a nonsensical, meaningless piece of prose. He might as well have said, any law that uplifts butterfly farts is just. Any law that degrades butterfly farts is unjust. It's meaningless. Some things, possessive, you don't need to be told or explained that it's wrong. Well, then why do some people think it's wrong and other people not? Obviously, you're going to say, well, they have a defect in their personality or in their moral character. Or they just don't think like you do. What are your thoughts on the Turtle Boy charges? Don't know. I don't follow them. Rule number 1, don't be a dick. Well, showing my Christian upbringing, my personal rule is to do unto others as you would have done unto you. And if I'm being an ass, tell me I'm being an ass. If you're not being an ass, I shouldn't be an ass to you. Give the kind of energy that you want to get in return. Golden rule, that kind of stuff. It's a civil right contrived for it's First fucking Amendment. It is literally the First fucking Amendment. So important that they put it first. Just because it also gets clicks, views, and YouTube clout doesn't change the fact that it's the First fucking Amendment. It's absurd to think that acting like a cunt in a public building and recording to harass people. It's the literal fucking First Amendment. Now, again, you limit it to acting like a cunt, which is whatever the fuck that is. And in a public building, what kind of public building? Is it a designated public forum? Is it a limited public forum? Is it a non-public forum? Has it been held out to be a traditional public forum? Is it in a free speech zone of that public building? We don't know. So your hypothetical is incomplete, and you're a terrible person, and you should probably, I don't know, eat ass and die. The rules are simple, just like you, sir. auditors do it for many different reasons. But if many people, I don't know why we capitalize many there, but if many people can make a living doing this, then the problem is not the auditors. Well, yeah, so like, one of the things that I've always suggested is if the police don't want to give the auditors content, don't fucking react. And, you know, I don't know how many videos you've seen where the police have been absolutely fucking 100% cool. And when they arrested the auditor, it was clear that the auditor made them arrest him. Like, the cop did no wrong. Calm, patient, repeated the commands. What was that guy? Pissed off taxpayer. He wanted to record in it was a city hall / courthouse, I believe. But they had signs up in the clerk's area. No cell phones, no recording. And he had gone in there and he'd been warned against it. And then he went back and the cop went in there and just like super like, there's the sign, you know, you can't do it, blah, blah, blah. It pissed off taxpayers, just blah, 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 blah. You know, and then finally the cop's like, okay, well, you know, you're under arrest because you're being a complete dick and you're doing something that's against the law and we're arresting. And he fought it and he lost, and he appealed and he lost. And, you know, great, right? It's, those laws are generally enforceable. Those prohibitions against filming inside of a public building that is dedicated to a specific kind of use that isn't held out to be a traditional public forum or a designated public forum or a free speech zone. They're generally enforceable. But, you know, like, I end up rooting for the cops. When the cop's cool and the auditor's just being a douche, I root for the cop. And when the auditor's being cool and the cop's a douche, I root for the auditor. Because generally speaking, I don't like it when people are being assholes. You're a douche, sir, and or madam. You are a piece of shit. What if we took out auditors? Cops should be allowed to tase Karens. You know, tase Karens. Oh, you're being a Karen? Why get to tase you? Why? Because you annoy AZ hat grifter. Or AZ shat grifter. AZ shat grifter. That's your new name. AZ shat grifter. Like, what about cops should be allowed to tase black people, but not more than 3 times every 20 minutes? Why? Because black people annoy me. Like, what kind of shitty mentality is that? Chili is only doing it for personal gain. I think that Chili's a true believer. I think Chili thinks himself as a savior of black people. I think he really thinks that Terry v. Ohio is terrible. And I think that he believes what he's selling. The Wrangler type people active in the chat. Well, good. Best case scenario, they're establishing standing. Sure. Just being told, no, you can't do this is generally speaking enough to establish standing. But, you know, getting arrested, you know, you get a 1983 lawsuit out of it. You go from just being able to sue for declaratory relief to being able to sue for monetary damages, right? Congratulations. I actually agree with testing laws. I just do not agree with treating people like complete shit to achieve this. Yeah, I understand and I sympathize. The problem is the First Amendment is designed to protect speech that you don't like. And you're like, I don't like you using that kind of language on people. Now, they might go too far. The speech that they're using might not be protected in the area where they're in, etc. Because, like I said, there are a lot of ways that the state can deal with people being assholes on public property. You know, in public buildings. Like DMVs, they can fucking flies are everywhere. This chicken shit is just great for attracting flies. But like the DMV, you know, they kick Chili out. They trespass Chili because they can, because he's being disruptive, and the state has that right. I'm not looking at what's legal or not, and you are. I know you keep pointing to morality, but you can't establish why your morality is better than the auditor's morality. I mean, you assert it, but that's it. You're just asserting it. Statements are from the King letter from the letters from Birmingham jail. Okay, I don't deify Martin Luther King Jr. He was a good orator. He was helpful in pushing along First Amendment rights as well as other rights. Was that Cox versus Birmingham? The whole civil rights movement was great for, or was it Cox? It was Cox versus Cox v. Louisiana. Cox versus Louisiana. Yeah, the whole civil rights movement was great for First Amendment rights and things like that. But I don't deify him at all. Chili spent much of his life chasing fame. He doesn't count for much. Well, I mean, he's a human being, right? Yeah, it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny that that you go from you don't want to treat people like complete shit to I don't know, shit all over Chili. That's why so much of this morality is subjective. So many people are willing to change their morality. You know, if it's someone I don't like, it's fine. I'll just shit all over them. If it's someone I do like, well, that's terrible, right? Much love, sister. Long time lurker. I thought you said jerker there in the small text. It looked like a jerker, and I was like, well, she does have nice tits. Same here, JT Jones. Mark, you have a good point too. You're welcome, and your tits are nice. LIA is widely considered the largest otter. His shtick is anything but a worthwhile activism. It's a con. Well, it's a con. He has filed lawsuits. Whether, like, people get caught up in the why. And I'm not so much concerned with the why. It's what they're doing that is important. And what he's doing is he's stress testing the First Amendment, right? And he's filing lawsuits to test whether or not he was right on it. Chili to Con Artist wins the best channel named prize. Okay. Do you not agree that there are things that are legal but are still wrong to do? On whose morality? Like, up until recently, abortion was legal at any age in every state. Some people had huge moral issue with it. Some people didn't, right? And now some states have been able to outlaw it because Roe versus Wade and its progeny were overturned. The decision has been returned back to the states. That doesn't change whether or not you thought it was moral or immoral. That changed whether or not it was legal. But who's right on the abortion issue? You know, personally, I am against abortion, personally. But I'm not going to push my view on anybody else because I can't tell you that your opinion, because it's your fucking opinion, is better or worse than mine. And, you know, people always like to argue the outliers, right? You know, what about in the case of rape? What about in the case of incest? What about in the case where the child has defects? Yada, yada, yada. You know, great. Let's argue all the exceptions and not the rule. But you might value those exceptions more than I do. You know, you might place more value, but it's like, that's just your opinion. So, like, abortion could be legal or illegal. You might think it's moral. Someone else might think it's immoral. It's your fucking opinion. I don't know. That didn't come out as clean as I wanted it to. You love Houston Roselle. Well, good. It's your right to smash your dick with a hammer. Is that a right? I don't think that's a right or a liberty. I mean, it's not illegal for you to smash your own dick with a hammer, but that doesn't make it right. Have you consulted with a physician about mixing cough drops with alcohol? I'm concerned your moral judgment may lapse on camera. Well, as soon as I'm done drinking the last of this vodka, we'll find out. It's not vodka, it's water, but whatever. For those of you keeping track, I had a beer last Monday, which is still 12 ounces, so it's more than what Cody would say is allowable. But fuck that guy. Like, who the fuck goes to Cody for medical advice? I don't know. Who goes to Cody for any advice? What a waste. That guy has such a great voice. What a waste on him. What a waste. Hashtag slavery was a bad idea. Yeah, it was. Are morals that are shared with the majority of society reasonable? Okay. Well, at one point in time, the majority of society thought slavery was moral. So I don't really know what you're going with there. It's just the opinion of the majority. You're just saying majority opinion wins, right? Well, here's a fun fact. The First Amendment was designed to protect against majority tyranny. That's what it was literally designed to protect against. Because the people can say, we don't fucking like this and make a law against it. Because that's the way we have enough people to do things. We get representatives to do stuff, etc. And then all of a sudden, you can't do that thing. And so the whole reason why the Constitution was put into place was to prevent tyranny by the majority. That's literally what it was designed to do. And the Civil Rights Act was designed to further that because Black people were a minority in the South and they were discriminated against. And the majority thought it was perfectly moral to segregate them and to treat them like second-class citizens. Perfectly moral, right? That's what the First Amendment and the Civil Rights Act of 66, 70, 71, 71 again, 75, 57, 64, blah, blah, blah. That's what they were designed to eliminate. So you try to back end around it by saying, well, it should be like democracy, but law, just unwritten law. No, fuck you. Like, no. And again, who's to say that the majority morality is the correct morality? Because again, at one time, the majority thought slavery was okay, and the minority thought it was not okay. And now those positions have reversed. So are we wrong nowadays for thinking it's wrong to have slaves? Or were they wrong when they thought it was okay to have slaves? No? A serial killer has morals. They're just cute. I don't know. Do they? Hashtag not all. I thought there was a kind of a psychotic or sociopathic or something like that where they didn't have any morals. I don't know. I'm not a head doctor. Merb, at times the voices of reason at the minimum he makes me think. Well, I try. Is a serial killer worse than a one killer like FW? I don't know. That's a good question. And again, it would depend on on the criteria you'd use. Like you'd have to apply your own weights to the various things. And like, what if I think there was a guy who was like going around and killing like registered sex offenders. He'd look them up on the Megan's Law list and he'd go and he'd beat them to death with a hammer or some shit. I mean, he's a serial killer. Is he better or worse than Michael Kaiser? I mean, I think that there are just a few lines where I don't really think that there's a lot of coming back from. One is child sex predator. That's like the worst for me. Like wood chipper, don't care if you did it. Wood chipper. If you didn't do it, I don't think that Earl Warren got a fair trial. Not from what I've seen so far. Waiting to see the state's reply brief, or the state's opening brief on the appeal, but from the motion and the response to the motion, and from the opening brief for Warden, well, I don't think he got a fair trial. But where was I going with this? Oh yeah, so child sex, that's like the worst. And then I actually think it's the crimes of it's the crimes where you take advantage of someone's trust, where like fraud type crimes. And then like somewhere down the list, I think the violent crimes are they're down the list though. And that's just my subjective morality. Like, I could see beating the shit out of someone. I mean, I've been in a fair few number of fisticuffs. I mean, with my mouth, I've been in a fair few number of fisticuffs in my life. And I've given and I've gotten. And I could see getting to that point. And, you know, but for the grace of God, I don't have a criminal record, right? But, I mean, it's hard. Like, a lot of this is just subjective. Like, how do you particularly rank it? I don't really see much of a line between someone who steals a pack of chicken breasts and lies about it, and someone like Kaiser. He's lying about more, sure. He did worse stuff, yeah. But how bad does it have to be for me to be like, no, you're bad, I don't want anything to do with you? How bad does it have to be for me to not want to have anything to do with you? Well, apparently, it's just being a thief and lying about it. That's pretty much good enough. Most intelligent people consider rank ordering societal problems and devoting resources to the most dire. Recording post offices and license plate, they'll make the top 1,000. Well, according to you and your most intelligent people, fuck you. I'm going to make this fucking up, pull it straight out of my ass and attribute it to the most intelligent people. And who says you can't do multiple things at once? Why do we have to go by your priorities? So how about you fuck off? I've done hundreds of audits over the years. The vast majority have had good results. But when I posted the good audits, nobody wants to see them. People unsubscribe and give me hell in the comments. Yeah. I mean, that's the fucking downside. Hey, here's a piece of shit. Hi, piece of shit. I don't like you. I don't like you a lot. Your mom's a really weak argument. I get paid the same for sharpening pencils in the corner or doing my regular job. Just sharpen the fucking pencils. That's your job. There you go. Well, then come here and let me take your pants off. Who says I'm wearing pants? Dude. That's a good rule to live by. I like the silver rule more than the gold rule. Yeah, okay. The beast is a canary. So PCM, you admit you seek conflict with low-level employees. Oh, Jesus. One quick tell is when someone starts off their sentence with so, when they're rephrasing the opponent's words, or their perceived opponent's words, they're being disingenuous. And this is peak disingenuousness, because let's look at what Pink said. She says, I've done hundreds of audits, and the vast majority have been good. But when I posted them, no one wanted to see them. So does she not do them? No, she just doesn't post them. So then he changes from I don't post them to you seek conflict with low-level employees. What a douche. You're a douche, sir. You are disingenuous at best, sir and or madam. Please explain. I only out at brothels and street corner pharmacists. Hell yeah. Hookers and cocaine. Cocaine. Truth. Me too. Hell yeah, brother. It's great how you act like they only do this to please. Do I act like that? Every example you give, well, again, most public buildings, by either statute or regulation or policy, give the agency, city, county, state, federal agency, whoever's occupying that building, the power to trespass or otherwise have you arrested for doing the bad stuff. And that's why we see Chile getting trespassed from the DMV in Pennsylvania. Was it a lawful trespass? Almost certainly. I am 99.9% sure that he was lawfully trespassed. Because the state, no less than a private business, has the power to preserve the property to its lawfully intended purpose. So the DMV can restrict the DMV to the DMV's purposes, which don't include chili filming. So you just don't like that I agreed that they, generally speaking, can enforce anti-filming stuff inside of buildings. JT, where did I say that? You didn't, Pink. He's being a douche. Rule number 2 is don't be a douche. Nice. Chili, the con artist. That's totally what Chili does. He's never had his rights violated on camera, yet he claims he's been wronged. He's a con artist. Or he doesn't understand what his rights are. Maybe. You ever think about that? I think Chili has a lot of people fooled. I think he has some people fooled. I don't think he has a lot of people fooled. Access theory is based on the right to gather information, a fundamental part of the First Amendment. When the government inhibits the ability to gather information to increase the stock of information. Are you talking about like freedom of the press? The part of freedom of the press is freedom of access? I don't know what you're going on about there, Mr. JD. What kind of a douche puts JD in his handle? I have a Juris Doctorate. If a public building has cameras in the public areas of that building, how could they then object to the public filming in the public areas? It confuses me with the okay for me, but not for the concept. Well, I have a refrigerator in my house. And if I invite you over, I can walk over to that refrigerator, take out anything I want and eat it. Why? Because it's my fucking refrigerator. You don't have that right. Why? Because it's not your fucking refrigerator. The city can regulate not only if you can film, but if someone else can film, and that's someone else being them. And they can say, it's okay for me to film because I'm the city and this is my place. And I'm doing this for the purpose of the city. My building, I'm doing it for my purpose. I am keeping this building to its lawful intended purpose, which is my fucking purpose, says the city. And my fucking purpose is not you filming. My purpose is me filming. Easy. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Some public servants treat the public like shit and think they are masters. That is also true. There is a court of appeals case in California where the appeals court refers to the tyranny of the court clerks. The fucking tyranny of the clerks. Alpha Fox Adam says, "Don't do unto others what you wouldn't want done to you. I don't have to go out of my way to do anything." Okay. Oh, it's a negative kind of thing. It's a do unto others. It's don't do unto others what you wouldn't want to have done to you. Glenn Serio is a national treasure. That name is familiar, but I'm bad with names. Did you ever watch Surveillance Cameraman? Not that I'm aware of. Security cameras aren't published on YouTube, and if would, the government entity would redact all personal info, unlike frauders. Well, I mean, that's not here nor there. The government could, if it wanted to, put security cameras, like in a courtroom. In a courtroom, a lot of courts now have live streams. They live stream. A lot of courts do. Not all. But so they publish to YouTube, and they don't redact information when it goes out. So your answer is wrong, and you're a terrible person. Adultery is legal but immoral. According to who? According to who? There are some people out there who think it's just fine. They have their little open relationships or whatever. I mean, I don't know why you guys all think that your morality is like the morality. I'm totally making a short out of that. Denver Metro Audits compared himself to Rosa Parks at his sentencing hearing. Your thoughts? I'm not familiar with Denver Metro Audits, so I don't know. If it's ending a child B life, is it really just a moral issue? Yeah, it is, because the legal issue in one state it's legal, in another state it isn't. So it's not a legal issue. What else is it? A religious issue? Not to build an echo chamber, but same here. I'm personally against abortion, but my opinion doesn't mean it should be a law. I also recognize how the law is being used to control women. I mean, you know, I'm not that woke. I don't think it's being used to control women. I mean, any more than like a law preventing men from killing their young. Oh, that prevents. That's a lot of control men. Laws against incest. Well, that's laws against family. We're really trying to. The state's really trying to control families. I'm a radical moderate who only believes in two things absolutely: the First Amendment and boobs. Yeah, buddy. Everything being said here are opinions, including yours. Well, but see, I'm not trying to push my opinions on you. I'm telling you what the law is. And, my opinion is that I don't have a problem with what the auditors do. But your opinion that the auditors are wrong is just your opinion. Even when society decided slavery was bad, they didn't recognize others as humans. So it's still okay as long as you didn't enslave your own people. Now, if I remember correctly, citizenship was only available to free white men. Free white men. Citizenship. If I remember correctly. Yeah, the 1977 naturalization bill. Oh, you can't see this. Hold on a second. Free whites. So I'm going to go with, apparently it was at least conceived it was okay to enslave white people, even at the beginning. So you're in the minority now? Sorry. Can you define women? Fuck. I believe Shelley has good intentions, but he oversimplifies some case law and laws of use point out many times. I think Shelley really does care and has personality and voice to do it. I think he really does care. I think he's, number one, he really does care. I think number two, he is also making a living out of doing it. I don't think that's his overarching thing, because he could really be pushing harder for grifts. I don't think he's living too high on the hog, but he is making a living doing it. And I don't think he has the personality and voice to do it. If he had the personality and voice to do it, he wouldn't be resorting to buying subs. And he had to buy a lot of subs. And he doesn't have the personality to do it because he's way too... He's too Dunning-Kruger. He doesn't know what he doesn't know, and he's not grounded enough to accept that he doesn't know what he doesn't know. Oh, he means the civil rights bill the Democrats voted against. Just saying. The the difference between a Democrat and a Republican, right? The Democrats want to fucking kill you and destroy the nation. And so do the Republicans. They just want to do it while giving you a 2% tax break. Radical moderate. Okay. So why is reasonable person common in law isn't a thing? Because a reasonable person is like understanding. So like, would your average reasonable person be able to understand this? Or what would your average reasonable, like a reasonable juror, would they be swayed by this, that, or the other thing, right? It's not their morality. They're not talking about morality when they talk about the average reasonable person in the law. And because if they did, then that'd be a backdoor that would allow that would make laws so subjective that you would never know. Because like, I mean, are we gonna like before I go out and do this, I'd have to literally pull a wide swath of the population to figure out what the average reasonable person's morality was about this issue. So yeah, it's about what they know or understand. They have their own set of morals. I don't know what you're talking about. Everybody has their own set of morals. It's effectively a way to express an objective standard. Well, yeah, an objective standard, but not a morality. Yeah. I support cop watchers. The majority of 1A auditors are not cop watchers. They're admin watchers who are trying to bother camera shy employees and introverts. Pitiful fraud. Well, again, there's a lot of people who don't like the cop watchers because they think the cop watchers are what's that other guy said? He doesn't like it when they disrupt the cops. You know, so I mean, again, like whose morality here, right? Even on your side of the fence, or kind of your side of the fence, there's somebody who would disagree with you and not like the cop watchers. First Amendment fundamental principles is creating an open market aspects of information. Like, what do you do? Do you like copy paste shit out of First Amendment encyclopedias? You're a fucking dumbass. Was Dexter evil? I don't know who Dexter is. I never felt comfortable with the idea that a child diddler was considered equivalent to a 17-year-old who turned 18 while his girlfriend was still 16. I think most states have have laws around that where, like, if you're within a year or two of the person, yada yada. But by the same token, should we allow 16-year-olds to have sex? Like, hey, you know, you were doing something you shouldn't be doing. Maybe we should adjust the penalty or something for him, but whatever. There were a lot of people in the 60s who had the opinion that sitting at a diner as a black person was treating the wait staff like crap. You can't have free speech and freedom to never be offended. Exactly. Thank you, Mr. Ferguson. A voice of reason in an otherwise sea of pitifulness. I think I missed everything about E.D. Warden. It's W-O-R-D-E-N. After his appeal was submitted, I'll need to catch up there. There's the opening brief from his attorneys, and then the state has until the 27th to file their opening brief. I cut back on the fisticuffs and assault and batter into my vocabulary at 18. Well, must be new. Merb's butthurt because I pointed out PCM's MO. That's a highfalutin argument you got there. I cut back on the fisticuffs when people stopped being able to be cool after a fight and started either calling the police or going to get a gun. Well, that's a real thing. But he's a constitutional law scholar. Weigh in, PCM. Sounded like you know call vids don't get views and you're monetized, right? She fucking answered you, dude. She fucking answered you. Right there. JT, where did I say that, lol? You're fucking late to the party. She doesn't post them. Doesn't mean she doesn't do them. She doesn't post them. Fucking mirror, making my brain hurt again. I'm sorry. I'll pull my dick out a little bit. I hear that. I used to be all in for a fair fight, but after I became disabled, I started being the one that would just reach for a force multiplier. I can't afford to get into a fair fight. I'd be absolutely destroyed. At my age, I'd probably get destroyed too, but what's that song? I ain't as good as I once was. Yeah, I'm definitely not as good as I once was. Why do auditors say they can't trespass from a public place unless they commit a crime? Is there any truth to this? What is the law? Well, the problem is that there's 50 states plus federal law. And the federal law isn't really a unified piece of law because, like, the post office has their own regulations on how to use their buildings. The VA has their own. The GSA has their own. The post office has their own. So there's just a shit ton of different state laws and federal regulations that you'd have to go into. I don't know that there's no universal rule that you can't get trespass from a public place unless you commit a crime. So there's nothing that I'm aware of, but a state somewhere might have that. So contact a local attorney. That's all I can say. California has for public buildings, they have strict requirements. Penal code. And if I remember correctly, there was something in there about it's really hard to trespass in California from a public building. Crimes against property. Trespassing. Public and private property. Mm-hmm. I don't remember where it was. Well, I could probably spend hours looking for it. Thought it was in there. I don't remember where it was. Let's just Google it. I was not at 602. What in the hell? That was close. Malicious mischief. Fairgrounds. Airport. Finally. Well, that's what it'd be to commit the crime of malicious mischief. I don't know. I don't know of any place where you can't be like, I don't know. I don't know what state they're talking about. The key word in their emergency is public. That means buildings also might. No, it doesn't. It doesn't mean that at all. It does not mean that at all. You are not the public. You can't sell it. You can't barter it. You can't redeem it. When you die, you don't pass it down to your kin. It is not yours. It belongs to the public. You are not the public. You are a member of the public, but you're not the public. It's a hard concept, but like, okay. Let's take a city building, just city building A, right? You live in that city, you pay taxes, your tax money goes towards that building, right? Does that mean you own it? No, because if you move from that city, you don't get to take a piece of it with you. Your rights to enter that building or not be, or to their ability to keep you out of that building don't change. Person comes from a completely different state, goes to that building. It's open to the public. It's owned by the city. You don't own the city. It's owned by the city, or it's owned by the county, or it's owned by the state. You don't own the county. You don't own the state. You don't own an interest in it. So it's no, sorry. The city has a lot of my personal information on record. Any member of the public is not entitled to that information. That's my imperfect metaphor for CCTV footage versus filming in court. I mean, your personal information on record may or may not be something that the public are entitled to, like marriage licenses or property deeds, things like that. I mean, there's a lot of personal information, fictitious business licenses, things like that. I mean, there's a lot of shit out there that has your personal information that the public has a right to. I personally have not had any issues filming in my municipal building. There are some awesome wall hangings there that depict the history of this town. Yeah, and you probably weren't an asshole when you filmed in there. And usually if people aren't being an asshole, even if they can restrict filming, they won't, because you're not being an asshole. And that's what my audits kind of proved. By filming in court, by not being an asshole, I was able to actually film in courtrooms. By not being an asshole. It's crazy what you could get by not being an asshole. Are there ordinances against filming in the courtrooms? Yeah, but if you have a judge say, yeah, sure, go ahead. Bailiff, go open up the courtroom for him so he could take some video in there. Ain't nobody in hell who's going to prosecute you for that. I just had a judge tell me I could do it because I was nice, and I gave him a good reason. I've seen Zoom court addresses redacted. You're wrong again. And I've seen Zoom court appearances not redacted at all. So fuck you, I'm not wrong. You're retarded. Merb, are you a doggy style, missionary style, backdoor lover? Where is your strength in bed? Asking for a friend. You have to buy me dinner to find out, Pimp James. I love boobs. I love boobs. What is your go-to with the wife? You'd have to buy her dinner to find that out. Wow, I've never been called woke before, and I live in the Midwest. This is new for me. Sorry, I called him like I sees him. I mean, like, I'm not saying you're a bad person. I'm just saying that that's a fucking woke way to go. I can't imagine what they're doing to the women. That's not true. In the ancient world, slavery wasn't based off of that. You're assuming when I'm talking about slavery, I'm talking specifically about America. I don't really fucking care. Africans enslaved other Africans to sell to the Europeans. Black people enslaved other black people to sell to white people. It was just what you did when you conquered other people, or when you could, right? With land or real property. Sure. Should have specified. Merb has a wife? I thought he was gay. Who says gay people can't be married? Slavery has existed for all of human history. Yes, it has, and it still exists today. 13th Amendment. If you are in the R, custody and control of the government, you are a slave. No, they indentured servitude is outlawed, except for like if you're in government custody. Yeah, like if you're a prisoner, they can work you like a slave. No response, PCM. She already responded, douche canoe. He could be pushing harder for grips. Yes. Are you kidding me, man? He's got T-shirts and trifolds and cup cards and fundraisers. Yes, he could be pushing harder. Democrats, Republicans, two sides of the same coin. Not just liberal coin. They're both terrible. All political parties are terrible, and all politicians are terrible and should be hung. Someone had a question: is a serial killer equally as bad as killing one person? Which one is abortion equal to? Is having more than one abortion considered a serial killer? I wouldn't personally, because that's not an accepted definition of it. But I mean, if you want to call it that, I don't care. Like, have fun with that. I mean, like that's something like James Freeman and his ilk do. Like, oh, you're kidnapping me. The police are kidnapping me. They're putting me in torture cuffs. They're putting me in a slave cell. I don't expect anyone to agree with me. It's my opinion. Geez, some may or may not. Yeah, that's true. There are also Romeo and Juliet laws that cover things like that at JVers. Okay. I know the rules are different from state to state. My point is, in some states, you can become a registered sex offender for a 2-year gap. Okay. Well, fucking don't break the law. Keep your dick in your pants. I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was. Well, are you though? I don't know, man. I don't know. I used to do a lot of wrestling and like MMA stuff. I remember back in like the 90s, I had a group who would do jujitsu and stuff like that, and we'd wrestle for hours, and you know we bought mats and everything like that. I mean, it was gay. Super gay. But anyway, I had a lot of stamina back then. I don't think I could last 2 minutes punching a heavy bag anymore. One hour said it one time and they all ran with it. Probably like that you can't trespass the eyes, or I mean they've had a bunch of stupid shit. Fair enough. So what happened in between? There was a good episode of the TV show The Orville. That's about a society that's ruled by popular vote. If you get 10 million downvotes, you are reprogrammed. Oof, ouch. So that's a scary place to be. I would never want to be at the whim of the masses, because you got to remember that people are stupid in general, and the IQ of a mob is equivalent to the stupidest person in that mob. Not good. And the problem that we found out about is that stupid people are really easy to control. I mean, whatever the fucking latest narrative is, you know, it was Ukraine. Now it's going to be the Israel, you know, everybody back Israel. Woo, go blood and treasure. Got to go to Israel or else you're not American or some shit. And people will go with it. You know, there's 60 years of nuance and bullshit behind that I'm not even going to attempt to cover. It's a complex subject, and you're just going to get fucking idiots who look at a meme by their favorite memer and off to the races, you know, woo, kill Hamas, kill the Muslims, you know, because they're terrible or whatever, you know, whatever. No nuance. People are stupid and they're easily led. And that's why you could spend a few $1,000,000 and sway elections. What do you mean? And while the registry might show some reason why someone is on it, no one looks that deeply into it. Doesn't matter. The same with interference being a physical act, which is all. Well, no, some states do have that. There is, what is it, Illinois? Illinois defines interference to be a physical act. Was it Illinois? My connection is not private with SR Hunter Law. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's a different state. But there is one state. I looked it up. There is one state that has it. I thought it was Illinois. It must be a different state because it does not appear that a physical act is required in Illinois for obstruction. But there was one state where it was. So I don't remember which one it was. Oh, to be sure, we have the neighborhood Karens that scream whenever someone in the registry gets within a mile of our street. None of them check for why would you have to? Like, why would you have to? Doesn't the word auditor imply to most that they have, if not an expertise, at least a good knowledge of what it is they're auditing? I don't think so. I mean, obviously they're not like professional auditors, like paid for auditors, like tax auditors or accountant auditors or things like that, forensic auditors. I think it reasonably describes what they're doing. Sort of. I think First Amendment activist is a little bit better, but whatever. I mean, they settled on auditor and it kind of stuck. It's like sovereign citizen, right? They're neither sovereign. Well, they're not sovereign. And it doesn't make sense, but the word has developed its own meaning. And First Amendment auditor is like sovereign citizen. It has developed its own meaning. So if you try to pull one word out and deconstruct it, it doesn't make any sense anymore. Just like if you try to pull sovereign citizen apart, it doesn't make sense. But a sovereign citizen is a thing, is a person who does sovereign citizen-y things, right? What happened to make you lose steam? Lol, I'm an old fart. I get it. Yeah, age. Ooh, 2 spinal fusions, a torn labrum in my right shoulder, and enough amputations to buy my orthosurgeon a very nice vacation home. Insert Jeopardy theme song here. I was really impressed how Seth MacFarlane handled controversial issues in that show, and I enjoyed how he often concluded there's no good solution. Someone is going to write a new medical journal about me when I finally die. Well, that's, I guess, one way to look forward to being famous. Redneck Dad, you still there? Hope not. He was a douche. It seems that most are trespassed because of the disturbance. That disturbance could be interference with public employees' duties. The underlying reason would be the disturbance. Sure. And that's an effective way for the state to deal with them. And yeah, getting old is a real bitch. Godspeed. Having fun. Same to you, good sir. The Jeff guy is just another annoying douchebag with a camera. I don't think so. You're a reader, you have your opinion. Seems Merv doesn't watch many auditors videos, so is comparing them to MLK Jr. based on ignorance of the majority. So JT Jones watches a majority of their videos, right? He watches a majority of them. How many? Okay, so JT Jones, how many auditors are there? Number 1. How many auditor videos are there? Number 2. And how many auditor videos have I watched? Go. JT Jones must be new. Must be. His comparison has nothing to do with his comparison had to do with the fact that MLK also committed crimes. He's not wrong. I am not wrong. Seems Merv. Yeah, seems. Thumbs up. What pants? Every time you cough, you bounce your chair the same way a baby bounces a baby swing does. It's pretty comical to watch. Well, I'm glad I entertain you. I am a big baby. Am I as good as I once was? God, no, Verb. I went shooting a couple weeks ago, and my muscles so atrophied I couldn't hold the AR-15 up for more than a couple of minutes. My arms were shaking. That sucks. If you can't hold up an AR-15, boy, there's not a lot of guns that are lighter. I can't wait for deprogramming camp. My peps. There has been a war in the Middle East for millennia. It's nothing new. Well, the British didn't really fucking help much when they divvied up Palestine. Didn't really help much. What are your thoughts on no cash bail? My general thought is I'm not a big fan of it. Sadly, there's like not a lot of there's a saying that goes something like if the penalty for committing a crime is a fine, then you're just saying that only rich people get to do it. It's that's and I kind of believe that. But I don't know. It's just hard. Like I would prefer. I don't like the whole predatory bail bondsman thing, because they basically all you get out of that, because with bail you have a bail bondsman, right? And so the court knows that you're going to go to a bail bondsman. You're not just going to put up the money, right? Like if the court sets your bail at $1,000, you're only going to go to a bail bondsman. You're going to give him $100. He's going to put up $1,000, right? The court's going to know that. So the court knows that if they do it for $1,000, if they think you could pay $1,000, if they think $1,000 is a reasonable amount to get you to come back to court, they'll actually set it for $10,000, because then you go to the bail bondsman, you put down your 10%, the $1,000, and so basically it's just a huge fucking fine to get out of jail. So I think step number one is get rid of bail bonds, make that practice unlawful. And step number two, ramp the bail down to what the defendant can actually afford. So it's big enough that they're going to want to return to court, so that they don't forfeit that money, but not so burdensome that it affects their ability to get counsel, if they're going to have counsel or whatever. And like there are like I don't think it should be just like no cash bail, but like if someone has like a family and a home, and it's a crime that they're not going to run on, right? And they have a history in the community, things like that, then I don't see why they can't be OR'd. But just say no cash bail for like misdemeanors or something like that. I think that's stupid, because they what we see going on is they just go back out and they reoffend, because they don't fucking care, right? They're not out any money, and if they don't get caught again, they no cop, no stop, right? Elements of obstruction, misrepresentation, no law is better than the cops. Okay, yay. This is pointless. We're talking past each other. Seems Merb's referring to the legit 1A audits while acknowledging. Are you suggesting that there are auditors out there who don't know the law? Yeah, duh. I mean, I've broken down their videos explaining to them how they don't know the law. Are you suggesting that there are auditors out there who abuse cops? Yeah, duh. I've made videos about those auditors abusing the cops. I mean, I've made anti-auditor videos, dude. Like, I know that there are bad ones out there, but just because there are bad ones doesn't invalidate what they're doing. It's like there are bad cops out there. Oh, so I guess we don't need cops. I guess cops aren't serving a function. Fucking idiot. Acknowledging not all forums are open to recording. Seems GE. Not all forums are, I mean, some forums can be restricted more easily than others, is really it. Like, not open to recording. By default, it's open to recording. Until the government steps in and makes some sort of a prohibition against recording, it's open to recording. Then once the government makes a prohibition against recording, then you have to do an analysis. And if it's a forum-based restriction, then you do a forum-based analysis. He hasn't seen all the videos. I have pure antagonism in a forum they don't belong. Bye. Well, fucking don't let the door hit you on the way out. You don't know my experience, you fucking bitch. He says bye, and then he comes back. Well, yeah, fucking let me help you out. Bye. Fucking idiot. I just timed him out. He'll be able to come back. Fucking bitch. JT Jones seems to think the auditors are only here for the clicks and views, yet he keeps giving them clicks and views. How does that discourage him? Well, he's a fucking simpleton. I mean, what are you gonna do, Matt? He's a fucking simpleton. Don't expect him to give you anything resembling a coherent response. Damn, can't hold the AR-15. Sorry, that sucks. My little girl could shoot that. Yeah, that's pretty bad. I feel bad for you, Papa Sanzer. Oh, good night, just a guy having fun. I'm in PT to help rebuild muscles and relearn how to walk again. Well, good for you. I wish you the best in that. I thought I fucking timed your dumbass out. Love your pick. Okay. Best of luck. I think tiering bail bond based on income would be a better solution, but is complex. Well, I think a personalized basis would be the best. Like maybe set guidelines. One of the criteria the court would have to look at would be the income. I think the court should also look at whether or not the person owns property in the area. Because if they own property in the area, then the state can always act against the property to fuck people up, etc. Whether or not they have family in the marriage, if they're married, if they have kids that they live with. You know, if it's like a single dad who his baby mama has the kids and he doesn't have anything to do with them, he's less tied to it than if he lives with the mother of his children and his child, especially if they're married, etc. I think there's criteria the court should look at and make a informed, reasoned decision. There are good and bad people area everywhere. They don't all wear uniform. That's true. You know, good bad people everywhere. I'm a supporter of day fines myself. I don't know what that means, but it looks like we're at the end. It doesn't look like anybody wanted to come up and debate me on anything. So thank you all for coming and have a great evening.